says we're live. It says we're live. That means we're live. Oh my God, I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous. Oh, I don't know what to do. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. How are you? It's Christopher Maloney with Practice Warriors. Hope you're having a great Friday. We just did this same class over on the other socials, Instagram and Facebook, and had a rollicking time. I'm excited to continue to talk about this topic that I'm going to get into called Abolish Your Ego. And I hope I can come up with some new stuff for the folks who actually saw part of it and are jumping on over here to see it. This is great. Oh, yeah. Let me explain a little bit about what we're doing now. This isn't going to be necessarily an ongoing thing unless people are enjoying it. So give it likes, share it, subscribe if you're not already. Let us know, because I think this is kind of a cool concept. Let me give you an idea of the genesis of it. So I use a private Facebook page to do Q&As with members of Practice Warriors. If you don't know much about Practice Warriors, check it out after this. Actually, you will, because I'm going to give you 3 free bonus practice tools at the end of this. It's going to be so rad. Okay. But our members, we do live Q&As quite regularly, where basically the floor is theirs and they can talk about anything they want, and I help them out with stuff, and it's really great, and it's exclusive. It's an exclusive benefit for being a member of Practice Warriors. It's $19.99 a month, very affordable, and literally one of the perfect companions to taking private lessons. If you're taking private lessons, you should be a member of Practice Warriors, because your teacher will love you for what we're able to teach you. And if you're not taking lessons, then we can sort of help organize that whole thing you're doing, that whole, a little bit of YouTube, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and really help you on your way. Anyway, we do these live Q&As. We also have something that we call Music Motivating Mondays. And the Music Motivating Monday videos, I created their little 3-minute snippets to remind the members of Practice Warriors about all the little nuggets that they learned in our groundbreaking 14-unit master class, which teaches you anything and everything about practicing. Okay, so basically they're just little nuggets, and we spread them around. They're in no particular order. It's not really meant to teach anything. It was just meant to sort of remind them of these great tips. And so then I thought, well, I'm not really giving away the farm on this. There are these awesome tips. If you watch all 52 weekly Music Motivating Monday videos, then you're going to get actually quite a bit of value of it. So I thought, well, why don't we share them on the socials? So every Monday here on YouTube, subscribe. You'll get a Music Motivating Monday, which is pretty darn cool. 3 minutes, just a little bite-sized morsel of some of the stuff we have in our masterclass. It's really cool. Well, then I started to think, well, these items, a lot of them, really could require a little deeper dive, and to really get the benefit of what I'm scratching the surface on with the Music Motivating Mondays, and that's why the Friday Lives are starting to happen. If you dig them, let us know, and we'll do this as a weekly thing every Friday on YouTube at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, and 10 p.m. in Western Europe. We'll be putting these puppies on. Yeah? And by the way, if you have a question, if you're watching this as a replay and you have a question, leave it in the comments. And even if it's 5 days, 2 months after the Q&A, after the seminar, I'll answer your questions. I do all the YouTube stuff. It's not any one of my staff. I'm the one who answers the questions. So you'll get to talk to me a little bit. All right? Okay. I told you about the 3 free items. That's coming up later. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Let me start to talk about what we discussed in the Music Motivating Monday video. We called it Abolish Your Ego. Okay. So I got to tell you that I think this concept and these sort of psychological things are really the key ingredients to get you not only to master music, and mastering is an ongoing process. We don't master anything, if you're intellectually curious, which we'll talk about. Um, it's really, you have to set your mind up for success. And I just talked to you about our 14 unit masterclass. We spend the first 3 units of our masterclass. There's 14 units. So that's like 22% of the class talking about this kind of psychological switch to getting you ready to believe in your abilities and in the learning process. I can't help you set your goals, choose topics, schedule your time, chart your progress, all these like literal and like hardcore, like do this and you'll be a practice warrior. I can't show you any of that stuff until we get your mind set to understand that you can learn. You can pretty much do anything you want with a good method. So with Abolish the Ego, okay, it's sort of a misnomer because we actually want to have a good and healthy ego. You need an ego to carry your gift, whatever it is, whatever it is. Being a good parent, being a good friend, kicking ass at work, playing music, playing whatever it is that you're extending yourself for in the world. There's got to be part of you that goes, yeah, I'm worthy of this. Yeah, you should listen to me because I know what I'm talking about. Now, if you didn't have a strong ego, then you would just be insecure your whole life. You would never learn because you would not believe in your ability to learn. So if you have no ego, you just sit there like a larval, afraid to do anything because you have no self-worth. Oh, I'm not. Who's going to listen to me? I can't play guitar. I can't learn saxophone. I suck at everything. So we need it. So let's think of the ego on like a sliding scale. Let's think of like the ego from, so if it was like zero ego, you couldn't do anything. So let's set the low ego point at 1. Okay. There's like, you're just larval. Let's set the obnoxious ego to 10. So when we think of ego, so remember, so the ego is a good thing. Maybe we don't want to abolish it. Maybe we want to tame it. Maybe we want to sort of cultivate it, nourish it, mature it. Okay. So 1 is like, I can't do anything. I'm not going to learn anything. I suck. 10 on the ego meter is what we usually think of when we think that someone has a big ego. Oh my God, that guy, he's got such a huge ego. He thinks he's so great. Oh, look at that woman. She's so full of herself. Oh, what the ego on her, right? That's what we think. That's the ego on 10. Haven't you ever noticed? I mean, we've all sort of been there. We've all puffed ourselves up, right? We've been at 10 a few times. We're trying to brag a little bit to our friends or do this or that. Or maybe we're feeling a little insecure. We get all like defensive and, the ego meter shoots up to 8 or 9. And we've also been at the 3 and the 2 where we get down on ourselves and our abilities. We try something new and we suck at it, right? And we're like, I can't do it. I tried it 3 times and I can't do it. So I guess I'm just not going to be able to do what I want to do. So we've all been there. We all slide on the ego meter a little bit. But I'm going to talk a little bit, and I talked about this in the Music Motivating Monday video. When you see someone puffing themselves up, and being like, oh, I don't need to learn that. No, I already know. No, I know that. No, that's good. You know what? I don't want to learn that because it's going to ruin my creativity. Yeah. People say all kinds of things to resist the learning process because they don't want to make themselves look bad. If you think about the people that puff themselves up a lot, we've been seeing this a lot lately, right? People walking around, hey, I'm I know everything. You know darn well when you see someone like that, they are just pushing down massive insecurities, right? You can usually tell after a few minutes with these people, they are so puffed up about themselves. You go, wow, man, this person's really laying it on. This person's really talking a lot about themselves. And you just go, man, you are massively insecure because no one who is confident in who they are, who's confident in their abilities, needs to talk like that. I don't need to brag about my musical skills. I've been playing music for 35 years. I play with some of the best musicians on planet Earth. I don't have to talk about how good I am. I know how good I am. It's nothing I need to share with people. I feel like a jerk talking like that. It would be exposing. And, if I did start doing that, and I would know, what are you feeling insecure about? But that's only because I've researched this stuff and I've applied it to myself and thousands of students over the years, whether I was teaching at the Musicians Institute in Los Angeles, where some of my students went on to play with Rihanna and Jay-Z and Lady Gaga and 30 Seconds to Mars, or whether I'm teaching a 5-year-old who's drooling on his instrument, which I've done all of that, right? I can recognize this stuff pretty easy, and I know you can too. The challenge with someone who's turning the ego up to 10 is that they totally squash the learning process. They're just afraid. They're so afraid of looking bad. They're so afraid of being insecure. They're so afraid of asking for help that they shut themselves off in advancing themselves, probably, well, certainly in music, but probably in every other element of their lives. And that's a terrible place to be. You always want to be curious. You always want to be willing to learn. You always want to be willing to suck. If you can acknowledge you suck at something and you're cool with that, oh my gosh, that is such a great place to be. And I think that's part of what I was saying when I wrote abolish the ego, abolish going up to 10 with the ego. Because when you're on 10 with your ego, you are totally resistant to showing vulnerability. And there's only one way you can learn: by being vulnerable, asking for help, and putting in the work, even though you suck. And that's where you really grow as a musician and as a human being. So being at 10 with the ego, the thing we think about the ego, oh, ego, I don't have an ego. Yes, you do. You better have an ego, or you're just gonna mumble your way through life, right? So you want your ego meter to be at 5, right? Humble enough to admit, hey, I can't do this, but then be secure enough to go, well, I can do it if I apply myself. So it's like a little bouncing between the low ego and going, I can't do it, and jumping up to the higher ego and going, well, yes, I can, with help, with time. And it's going to come with a struggle. That, man, if you could set that ego meter at 5, then you've got something going on. You really do. You really set yourself up for success. So, how can you get off of the extremes of the ego? How can you do that? How can you're like a guy who just always walks around and you know you're doing it, right? And you're like, man, I always feel like I gotta puff myself up and defend myself. And my teacher wants me to do this, but I'm resistant. I think the thing is just think of this, phrase: give yourself permission to suck. You're not impressing anyone. Everyone can see right through that BS. If you're puffing yourself up, you're letting that ego meter get up there, and you're like, I don't need to learn this. No, I'm great. I don't need to do this. And here's the funny thing: some of you may be going, well, I don't do that. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. I know you do. Because I kind of do it too still. I never talk like that because I kind of gave that up years ago. You know, once I got a little bit humble, and actually the more skills I got, the humbler I got, because I didn't feel I needed to puff myself up. If you feel good about yourself, you never need to brag. You know what I mean? But there have been many times where inside me, I go, I don't really need to learn that, right? Because I already am pretty good at music. Like I'm awesome at this part of music. This like 4% of music. Like I rock this, whatever it is. Oh, I'm really good at playing the blues. Yeah, I could go down to the blues jam. Everyone loves me there. I don't want to learn funk or theory or reading or jazz. Well, no, it makes me feel icky. I'm good at this, so I'm going to do this. Now, you don't say that, but you feel it. Does that make sense? So you've got to, if that's your inner ego, or if that's like um, the way you feel inside that makes you resistant, think of these things. Give yourself permission to suck, because you're not impressing anyone. And the only thing you're doing is you're limiting yourself. What's more important to you? Impressing people or getting better? That's an honest question. What's more important to you? Impressing other people or getting better? Impressing other people, that's a short-term feel good kind of thing. It's like candy. Doesn't last. And once you're done with it, you're not going to feel very good. I promise. I love candy, right? But if you're willing to learn, you're willing to put yourself out there, you're willing to look stupid and sound crappy and feel that pain of pushing out your comfort zones, you will learn, and you'll be a lifelong learner. You'll be the kind of person like, so my friend Stan Gosick, one of my music mentors. Hey, we're going to talk about finding a music mentor next week if you guys like these live videos. It's going to be our Music Motivating Monday on Monday. He told me the story of Oscar Peterson, one of the greatest living jazz, well, he's not living anymore, but one of the greatest jazz keyboardists of all time, and Keith Jarrett, another one of the greatest keyboard players of all time. And Oscar Peterson went to see Keith Jarrett play. And in between sets, Oscar Peterson went backstage where Keith was sitting at a piano. He always has a piano backstage to warm up. And Oscar, he's in his 80s now. And Oscar's like, man, you did something in that third song. What was it? And Keith Jarrett's like, was it this? He goes, yeah. What is that? Now, Oscar Peterson has nothing to prove to anyone, but he could walk around and be like, well, I don't want to ask for help. I don't want, someone to show, I'm Oscar Peterson. I can't ask for help. He was intellectually curious. His ego said right there at 5, just enough for him to get on stage and do his thing and feel worthy, but not so much that he would be insecure about asking a contemporary for help. And that's what he did. Show me what you were playing. That was so cool. The next night, Oscar Peterson shows up again and he goes, look, I learned what you showed me. And you know what? You can change it and you can do this. And you know what? You can change. And Keith Jarrett's going, oh my God, I didn't know you could do. Show me that. And these two monsters of their instruments are getting jazzed up, no pun intended, about learning, the learning process. If you shut yourself off, if you feel like, oh, I don't want to learn anything from somebody, okay, man, maybe they think you're all that, but you know you're not. Don't ever be afraid. If you go and see a band and you play sax and you see a sax player there and maybe he knows who you are and maybe you know who she is and you're like, there's maybe a little thing, a little competition, whatever, and they play something that blows you off your feet, ask them after the set, how did you play that? Like, if you're doing this pecking order thing, then yeah, for a moment, this person's like, hey, I'm pretty cool, man. This person wants to know how I do that. Hey, I feel pretty good. But you're going to get the benefit of that. You're going to learn something new. That's what you want to do. That's what abolishing the ego is all about. Get rid of what you think other people think of you. It doesn't matter. Get that ego meter to 5. And I'm telling you, you will not only will your music improve, but your whole life, your whole outlook in life, your enjoyment of life will improve. And you'll find out that you can actually do almost anything. Now, what if you're on the 1 of the ego meter and you're just so incredibly insecure that like you just don't feel like you can do anything, right? We want to abolish that too. Again, we go over this in our masterclass, practicewarriors.com. I spend 3 whole units. People get a workbook. I have them do exercises. We do, it's like Tony Robbins for musicians. All right. But let me give you a couple little nuggets. Okay. It's not going to be as comprehensive, but be some stuff you can walk away with. The way we get confident about our abilities to learn is to start noticing some of the little wins and the little accomplishments we make. Okay. So, for example, I've worked with a lot of guitar players, uh, beginners on up to the pros. And when people start learning guitar, right, their hands hurt, their fingers hurt, the sound is buzzy. It's awful for like a month. And you want to talk about awful sounds? Sax, trumpet, any horn or reed instrument. Oh man, it sounded like someone strangling a cat. And I tried to learn violin once, and my wife was like, "Can you do that in the garage?" My supportive, loving wife was like, "No, please leave. You suck." And I'm like, "Yeah, of course I suck." And I was totally cool with it. I abolished the ego. So when I'm working with guitar players, we're making this slow progress. It's happening over a series of months or whatever. And maybe it gets to like 6 months, and I'm like, all right, we got to start learning some movable shapes, some power chords, some bar chords. And they're like, I've heard about these bar chords you speak of. What is this F? What is this F I hear? Or B minor? I hear that's terrible. And I go, yeah, yeah, it's challenging. It's challenging, but you can do it. Oh no, I tried. I tried the F chord. I played it 4 times and I couldn't do it, and it hurt, and so I can't do it. That's it. I'm just gonna buy a capo, and that's my. I'm like, well, okay, so that's a person whose ego is right at this moment. Remember, our ego moves on the ego meter all the time, all day long. So now this person's on the ego meter of 2. They just don't have faith in their abilities. For me, I'm delusional. I think I can learn anything. I mean, I play all sorts of instruments. I do all kinds of stuff, and I've played with some of the best musicians in the world. I mean, really, I shouldn't have. And there's a couple of secrets I'm going to show you. Some of the free things I want to give you guys for watching this video. If you look in the, I don't know if it's called the comments or the thing that we wrote about this, I got a link there for some free stuff I want to hook up with you if you guys don't have any questions. Um, and so I'll look at the student who's on the 2 at the moment. And I'll say, well, we're going to learn the F chord. And we try it, and their fingers hurt, and it sounds like crap. And the bar is terrible. And they just get this, I can't do it. I can't learn. I can't do it. And I go, well, you can play a G chord. Remember when a G chord, you thought a G chord was impossible? You know what they say to me? You know what these punks say to me? Oh, a G chord's easy. And I'm like, hold on a minute, hold on a minute. I wish I took video of you in those first 4 lessons, because you couldn't play any open chord. You couldn't play anything. It sounded awful, and you were stressed, and you told me then that you couldn't do that, right? You said it was hard. Oh, it's hard. But now you're saying it's easy. Well, which is it, man? Is it hard or is it easy? And you start to discover that nothing is easy and nothing is hard. It's just unfamiliar to you in the moment. We'll do a whole class on this concept, because of any of the stuff that people have learned, our members have learned through the masterclass. This, it's not easy or not hard. This was a life changer for them. They've applied it to every area of their life. So I say to the person, the F chord is challenging now because you're not familiar with playing it. But you thought the same thing about the G chord, and you thought the same thing about the A minor chord, and you thought the same thing about the E7 or the G7, any of these other, every new thing I give you, you struggle with, and then you overcome it. So you want to start thinking of those little wins. Oh, I sucked at the G chord. Now I don't. I sucked at the C chord. Now I don't. Oh, and I learned my A minor pentatonic scale. My fingers were falling all over the place, so I couldn't do that. Now I'm going to the blues jam and playing A minor pentatonic. This is great. If you are 1 on the ego meter, remember those little wins. And don't start deluding yourself. Oh no, the F chord's a whole big. Yeah, we know it's challenging. Okay, but you accomplished this, and that means you can accomplish that. And I would always tell people, when you watch your favorite musician, you're watching on YouTube or you're at a show and someone is shredding and they're killing it, and you're like, I wish I could do that. They were where you are now. Do you understand that? You got to get that. And that's another way to get yourself off that 1 or 2 on the ego meter. Remember that your favorite musicians were where you are now. And that will get you more to the having the ego in like the 5 area, where you have enough confidence in yourself, the good ego, to go, yeah, man, I can learn anything I want. Bring it. I can do it. And you've turned down the high ego to where you're like resistant to looking bad, because you always have to be the best whatever. And you just shut yourself off to the learning process. Does that make sense? So, abolish the ego. Probably a better term would have been to tame the ego, control the ego, center the ego, because we need the ego, but we got to pull it from the extremes. And then, my friend, you will be able to accomplish not only anything musically in your life, but anything else in your life. You want to have the perfect mate? You can do it. You'll have the confidence to walk up to that person and talk to them without being, a jerk and turning them off immediately. You want that promotion? You'll get it. You want to, be assertive to your kids? You'll do it. You want to pick up a new skill, a new instrument, a new sport, a new activity? You will just be intellectually curious for the rest of your life. And boy, what a life it's going to be. It's going to be amazing. Music has changed my life in so many ways. Everything I have, I owe to music and my eternal curiosity. And it's helped me find the woman of my dreams, the work that I was put on this earth to do, incredible friends, and incredible life. And if you're like, well, I'm not going to make it a career, dude, it doesn't have to be a career. The lessons you learn with learning music, when you're taking private lessons, which we absolutely, as Practice Warriors, Practice Warriors is our membership, is the perfect supplement to taking private lessons. You take private lessons, you go tell your private instructor, hey, I'm paying $19.99 a month to be a Practice Warrior member, all the stuff they teach me. They're going to love you. They're going to be like, yes, finally, this guy's going to practice. So it doesn't matter how good you are. It's just how good you're going to feel about yourself. When you tame this ego, get those energies to 5, remain intellectually curious, be strong with your belief in yourself and your ability to learn, not your ability to do, because you're going to run into so many things that you suck at, but your ability to learn. I feel like I'm repeating myself, so I'm going to end it there. Now, listen, before I go, I want to take some questions. I don't see really any questions in the comments. Leave some questions. Anything you want to know about music. If I don't know the answer, I'll make it up, and you'll think it's funny. Let me tell you about these 3 free items that I want to give you for watching this video. And even if you're watching the replay, if it's still Friday, January 31st, I want you to be able to get these 3 free items for watching this. Number 1, I'm going to give you an 18-minute video lesson from me about the 3 P's of music mastery. I talk about these 3 P's that you have to get into your psychology in order to make massive musical improvement. I don't know. My screen's reversed. I don't know what the first P should be. Yes, everyone knows you need to practice. If I want to be a master of music, and mastering, meaning a lifelong student, there's no mastering of music, I'm afraid. Then you got to practice. Okay. But if you practice and you don't enlist the other 2 P's, then I'm sorry, at some point you're going to quit. At some point you're going to give up. At some point you're going to be frustrated. Maybe not your instrument, but working on that one skill you really want. And you're like, man, it ain't coming. Without the other 2 P's, then you're going to fail. So you'll get access, lifetime access to this 18-minute video lesson. I love it. It's been a game changer for a lot of my students. Second thing you're going to get is you're going to get my 28-minute video. Again, this is free, called Speed Builder. And I teach you to play anything you want as fast as you want it. Oh, yeah. Funny shadows on my face. Now, this sounds real gimmicky, right? Really, dude? Now, I want you to hear me. I'm not saying you could play anything you want as fast as you want tomorrow or in a week or maybe even in a month. This is a long-term process that I'm just showing you how to do the process. How do you take something that you can't play and go, I can never do this? And over time, work to one day, 2 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I can play that. I have played with some of the best. I mean, just think of the guitar players. I played with Dweezil Zappa for 2 years. I'm on a record with Neil Schon from Journey. I've stood toe-to-toe jamming with Steve Vai. I could drop more names of people you probably never heard of, and they're even better than those guys, right? And they've given me music and said, I mean, when I jam with Vi, I had to play one song. I'm like, I literally can't play that song. Like, I physically don't have the skills. Well, do you want to eat? Do you want to play with Steve Vai, or at least jam with him? Do you want to be on this tour? Do you want to be on this record? I made this my career. So if I couldn't play this music, I didn't eat, man. So when people would give me music that was like, I have no idea how to play that, I developed this method to like, okay, if I practice like this over time, maybe it's 6 weeks, maybe it's a month, maybe it's whatever, I can learn anything I want. And it totally works. And I demonstrate it in real time during the video lesson. I actually do it on piano. It's like my third instrument. And I learn something for the first time, and I show you my method and teach you how to do this. And then it's up to you to employ it. So it sounds easy, like a gimmicky thing, but it isn't. It takes actually, it takes the 3 Ps to enlist this. So that's the second free thing. I'm going on about this. I'm sorry, but I'm just so excited to give you guys these incredible free practice resources. The third thing is a really cool PDF booklet called The 15 Myths of Learning Music. And I take the top 15 beliefs that people have about the learning process, and I tell you whether these myths are true, whether they're false, or whether they're what I call true, but right? Like they're actually true, but there's a little something to it. And let me tell you, so many people have false beliefs about what learning music is. Anything from, I need to practice for hours and hours a day. I don't have any talent. So, I'm never going to be that good. Like all these different types of beliefs, some of them are true, some of them aren't. But I really put them in a way that you can go, okay, this is what learning music really is. Now I understand it. Let me get to work. All right. So these are resources. You've got to utilize them. All right. Practice Warrior is the same thing. Our membership site is amazing. We teach you, and I think it's the only place on planet Earth, the only site that focuses only on the art of practicing. We don't teach you to play guitar. We don't teach you to play saxophone. Don't teach you to play drums. We teach you how to practice those and other skills. And speaking of that, you get these 3 free bonuses immediately. We send you an email so you get the links to them. And all you got to do is sign up for a free 14-day trial to Practice Warriors, right? That's free. I'm giving you a 4th free thing, right? You go on our website. Actually, don't go on our website yet. Go to the link in the little description. That's what it's called, description. Go to the link I set up in the description, because that brings you to a special page where you can get these 3 bonus items. If you sign up, there's your 4th free one for 14 free days of Practice Warriors. You don't pay anything. After 13 and a half days, if you're like, yeah, it's not for me, or I didn't really want to pay anyway, whatever you do, right? Then you can cancel your subscription. We don't charge you anything, and you can keep lifetime access to those three things: the 18-minute 3 Ps to music mastery video, the 28-minute speed builder video, and the 15 minutes of learning music. You get all of that, and 13 and a half free days of Practice Warriors. So check it out, my friend. Make it happen. But here's a catch. There is a catch, right? You got to sign up. You got to take advantage of this offer before midnight tonight. Before midnight, otherwise it's gone. Now you can still sign up for Practice Warriors, but you won't get those 3 bonus items. Oh, and by the way, I think it still pops up. Even if you go to this special link I gave you, we'll even give you a free tips book. What? So you're going to get 5 of the most amazing, I think, practice tools ever for free, just for looking at my ugly mug tonight. Awesome sauce. All right, I want to take your questions, but I'm not sure we have any questions. Are you guys being shy, or am I just crushing this? Am I just crushing this? Is Johnny Bain still online? He sent me a wave. Johnny, let's hear from you, buddy. All right, well, listen, if you don't have any questions now, or if you're maybe you think of something later on, you have a question about Practice Warriors, or about your particular challenge with your ego, or with the learning process, or maybe even with maybe you got questions about my career. You can learn more about me and all that stuff from the Practice Warriors site, practicewarriors.com. You got any questions, throw them in the comments. And even after the video is done, I'll see that you're commenting. I'll come in and answer them. All right? I hope you guys had fun. If you did, please let me know. Give us a like. I see we got some likes. Thank you so much for doing that. It'll inspire me to keep these things going. I love doing this stuff. I love teaching music. And most of all, I love inspiring people to make music a huge part of their life. I love my life, and I love my life because of everything that music has given me, because what I learned while learning music, I've applied to all areas of my life. And so everything beautiful and wonderful I have, a lot of it I can attribute to music. And it doesn't matter if you want to be a pro, or you just want to play the open mic night, or you just want to play happy birthday for your spouse. Anything you want to do. Thank you, Ann Johnson. It's so good to see you. And Miss Missy from Syracuse. Thank you guys for the love. Johnny Baines, thank you guys for showing up. Please take advantage of this offer I'm giving you for Practice Warriors. And anything I can do to help you, leave a question in the comments. I'll come back and show you the love. And hey, should we do this next week? Maybe we should do it next week. Let me know. All right, guys, you have a great time. Enjoy your Friday. Be safe, and I'll absolutely see you soon. Bye-bye.